or have a life. Maybe a job. Maybe people who care about you. Maybe even things you know you should be grateful for. And yet, there's this quiet feeling that follows you around. A kind of emptiness. Not sadness exactly. Not depression exactly. Just hollow. Disconnected. Like something is missing, but you don't even know what it is. And the worst part? You can't explain it. Because from the outside, your life looks fine. If you've ever felt this way, this video is for you. Because that feeling has a name. And more importantly, it has a reason. It's not the same as being sad. Sadness has a direction. It points at something, a loss, a disappointment, a memory. But emptiness is different. Emptiness is like silence where feelings should be. You try to feel something and nothing comes. Or something comes but it fades too quickly. Or you feel everything at once and it just becomes noise. Research shows that this experience is incredibly common, especially among people who appear on the surface to be doing well. High functioning, responsible, put together, and yet empty inside. Why? What causes this? The answer might surprise you. Here's something no one tells you. The brain can adapt to almost anything. It can learn to function, to go through the motions, even when something deep inside is unresolved. We call this emotional autopilot. You wake up, you do the things, you smile when you're supposed to, you make plans, you show up, but it all feels mechanical, like watching yourself from a distance. This happens when there's a gap between the life you're living and the life your soul actually recognizes as yours. Maybe you followed a path that made sense logically, the safe path, the expected path, but somewhere along the way you lost the thread back to who you actually are. And that disconnection, that gap, is what you feel as emptiness. Now let's go deeper. Because for many people, this emptiness didn't start in adulthood. It started much, much earlier. There's a concept in psychology called emotional neglect. And it doesn't mean your parents were bad people. It doesn't mean you had a terrible childhood. It simply means there were emotional needs that went unmet. Maybe no one asked how you really felt. Maybe you learned that certain emotions were too much, too dramatic, too inconvenient. Maybe you were praised for being strong, for not needing things. So you learned to compress yourself, to take up less space emotionally, to stop reaching for what you needed because reaching felt unsafe. And the mind is brilliant at adapting. It learned to function without those emotional nutrients. But functioning without nourishment isn't thriving, it's surviving. And surviving long enough starts to feel like emptiness. When emotions are repeatedly ignored by others or by ourselves, the mind develops a defense mechanism. It learns to numb, not because you're broken, but because numbing was the kindest thing your mind could do for you at a time when feeling too much was overwhelming. This is called emotional dissociation, a quiet, invisible wall between you and your own inner world. And it shows up in specific ways. You struggle to identify what you're feeling. You feel bored or restless, even doing things you used to love. You feel like an observer of your own life, not a participant. You seek constant distraction, scrolling, noise, anything to avoid the silence where the emptiness lives. Does any of this sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. And this isn't permanent. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Emptiness is not the absence of meaning. It's the signal that you've been living disconnected from it. Your emptiness is not an enemy. It's a messenger. It's telling you something here doesn't fit who you really are. There are parts of you that haven't been seen, heard, or expressed. You've been surviving so efficiently that you forgot to actually live. The question isn't, why do I feel empty? The real question is, what have I been avoiding feeling? Because beneath the emptiness, there is something. There always is. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's longing. Sometimes it's a version of yourself you buried a long time ago because the world didn't seem ready for it. The path back to yourself isn't dramatic. It doesn't require a breakdown. It requires attention. Small, consistent, gentle attention to what's actually there. So, where do you start? First, stop running from the quiet. Instead of immediately reaching for your phone when you feel empty, just sit with it for a few minutes. Not to fix it, just to feel it. Second, ask yourself one question, honestly. What would I want if I knew no one was watching? The answer is usually closer to your real self than anything else. Third, give yourself permission to not be okay. Not as a statement, as a private, honest acknowledgement. You don't have to perform wellness. You're allowed to be in process. Reconnection doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in 1,000 small ones. The morning you sit in silence and notice what you actually feel. The conversation where you say what you really mean. The choice to honor what's true in you, even when it's inconvenient. That is how you come back to yourself. If this video reached something in you, even something you can't quite name yet, that's enough. That quiet recognition, that's the beginning. Drop a comment below and tell me, when did you first notice this feeling of emptiness? I read every single one. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it. And subscribe to Inner Life, because this is just the beginning. Every week, we go deeper. You are not empty. You are just finding your way back. Take care of your inner world.